With more players refusing to buy sealed product, it's no wonder the singles market is surging as much as it is. But the real surprise comes when you start looking at the reserve list. I'm not saying buyouts are back. It's a little early for that. It's a little, you know what? I'll let you guys decide. You guys can watch the video and you can tell me. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for joining the conversation today as we take a look at the hottest selling cards on the reserve list. But unlike some recent videos, the sales are starting to really uptick. And it's across a whole range of reserve list cards, not just low-end stuff, but medium to higher end cards are starting to move. And I've got to attribute that, at least in part, to players refusing to trust in sealed product at all. So they're diverting their money, their liquid cash, into reserve list cards, the blue chip side of things. And some of the cards they're buying are really surprising. So I can't wait to share this with you and see the comments of people on the channel, because people who usually watch this video are very interested in reserve list cards, and the odd time you get some new person who hasn't really seen these videos before. But a lot of you guys are regular viewers, so I hope you enjoy this video and find it as fascinating as I do to dive into some of these cards and see where people are putting their money. So let's jump to this and see what you guys think. So here we are on our trip down the yellow brick road. Starting at number 10, we have Gayest Cradle from Urza's Saga. This was on the list last week, and it's still going. 24 sales brings it to the number 10 position. Now, $974 is the market price, but what we're seeing on the secondary market is not near mint. This is heavily played, moderately played cards, which are hundreds of dollars less, finding their way into people's EDH creations. Okay, next to no near mint sold at all. This is all heavily played, and you know what, guys? It is the right time. For a lot of people right now who've been waiting and just holding money and saying, you know what, I haven't liked anything, I'm mad at Wizards, and they see this as not helping Wizards at all because Wizards doesn't control this part of the market. They consider it helping an LGS, helping out a buddy who needs some money, or maybe people saying, I don't mind paying full price, I just want the real deal. I want this card, I don't want a proxy, I want this one. And then they're diving in and paying for it. But you're still talking close to $10,000 in sales. That's a lot of money that Wizards will never have access to. And it shows the frustration of some players that even buying in this bear market, it should be going lower. But if anything, the sales like this and last week are helping actually solidify the price at this point right now. So keep an eye on that. Now, number 9, a real surprise. Lion's Eye Diamond from Mirage. This was on a Card Watch video about a week ago. And here we have it going. 27 sales this week. But it's because it's been on such a slide in price, okay? The market price of $452. And if you're looking for the moderate to heavily played ones, you're talking the low 300s. This card has never been more attainable in the last few years, all the way back to 2020, than it is right now. And that's what a lot of players are recognizing and taking that time to just snatch this card out of the air, buy it, own it, and finish it off. I remember actually opening this in a tournament, and I was like, this is useless. This is useless in my Mirage deck. It was crazy, but of course, hindsight's 2020, but that's the way things are going to be. But that's your number 9 card. Now, number 8. Last week was number 1. So here we have Null Rod now in the number 8. It slid all these spaces, but it's still at 28 sales. This price has also gone down. I told you guys people would start noticing this card at around the $90 mark. And here we are, the market average of 77. You can go on things like TCG Player, and you can actually find this card in the 60s range US, guys. That's something to consider for a lightly played copy. And remember, guys, if you're going to use TCG Player for any of your shopping experience, please use my affiliate link found in the description of all my videos. Just click on the TCG link for Moxman, takes you right to the TCG Player. But anything you buy during your experience there, I get a kickback for the channel. I really appreciate everyone who helps me out each month. It allows me to get cards on my Arabian Nights collection, so thanks again everyone who's been helping me out with this amazing experience. What a great card, man. I mean, obviously Null Rod has play, all right? Now, number 7 this week, out of the blue, comes Brain Geyser with 31 sales this week. And again, this card's been trending down from that $60, $70 range during the hype buyouts of 2021 into 2022, and it's been trending down ever since. But what a lot of players don't realize is this is the first time in 2020, 2021, this is the first time Revised ever had a buyout. This is it. This is the first time the collectors, investors took a stab at this reserve list and see where it held in Revised. And you can see there the market has ricocheted. It's gone down, but it didn't go back down to like $5-6, did it? It didn't go back to a $5 card. That should be a warning to players who've kind of thought this card would go all the way back down. The elasticity of this card is pretty resilient, okay? Especially the artwork, the way the card gets played, the fact it's target player. It still sees play in EDH, guys, so just one of those things to consider. It's a great card to have around. You can find some moderately played copies for the $10, $11 range on TCG Player. Not a bad card to have around. I've already got a couple play sets. I'm set. Now, number 6, Winding Canyons from Weatherlight. Market price is $15. This thing has been a lot higher. It was as high as like $65. So this is a real steal, a real deal right now. And with some of the newer cards we're seeing come out, it's no surprise. Being able to use flash when nobody expects it and your creature doesn't inherently have flash is an amazing thing to see. When you do it at the end of someone's turn, even if you're going to make them use a counter spell or make them do some other effect, it gives you a one-up. It gives you a leg up of surprise that most players never see coming, and the card hasn't been this cheap in ages, so way to go for those people who've been grabbing it. 32 sales, very respectable. Remember, guys, anything over 50 sales, 50 or higher, is basically a buyout if it's in a 1 week period. So some of these cards are getting pretty darn close to buyouts happening again. Now, a Bandz was on the list last week, and this card is still going. 35 sales this week. Market price is $10.24. It's trended down from the high. You see the spike there, 40. I'd say around 30. It's still like, 2/3 off kind of deal. But I see this card and say it has playability. This is something players are using. The fact it's an instant, it's one white, one other, until the end of turn, target player cannot play instants, interrupt, sorcerers, or abilities that require an activation cost. Very good in two-headed giant style commander games, or even a solo commander game where you're about to die or an opponent's about to die that you don't want removed. This could help save that person. Keep it in mind, guys. Great card. And again, very inexpensive. Now, the number 4 card this week, let's talk about this. This is Soldevi Excavations, of course, my all-time kind of favorite reserve list card. And it's the card of the channel. This is the card we buy on this channel. We show respect and solidarity for the army of Soldevi, the tin-foil hat army that even the Taco King acknowledges is supreme. And when you look at this card, when Soldevi Excavation comes into play, sacrifice an untapped island or bury Soldevi Excavations. Now, if you tap and add 1 blue and 1 generic mana to your mana pool, 1 generic mana and tap, and look at the top card of your library, you may put that card on the bottom. It has Scrying. It still taps for 2 mana. Guys, this is actually a pretty good utilitarian card. It's not bad. Okay, I know it's not the tier 1 amazing Library of Alexandria. It's not a Serra Sanctum, I get it. It's not even Tolarian Academy. But Soldevi Excavations is definitely not a rot beggar dead card. It's not. And you know what? A card like this eventually won't be around so much. People on this channel who have followed this channel know that I keep a tally. And people still email in once in a while when they find the old video that everyone's forgotten about, where we did a buyout on the channel for Soldevi Excavations. We bought this card out to show how easy market manipulation was for Magic the Gathering. And I still continue to buy this card 4 copies a month. Okay? 4 copies, which means basically 48 copies a year. I'll be able to fill a binder in a couple years at the current trending price, maybe even sooner. But all it takes to wipe this card out of the market is $1,500 US. Will wipe this card from the face of TCG Player. It's just gone. $1,500. Card market would take a lot more. It's around $2,000. So for, let's just say, $5,000, we could wipe this card from the face of the earth, even though there's supposed to be around 300,000 copies, give or take a bit. And of course, you don't know what's actually been destroyed to attrition. It's very interesting to see how these things happen, and you shouldn't ignore cards like this. If you don't own one, go ahead and get one. Join the army of Soldevi and send me an email at alang@hotmail.com. You can find it in the description of this video. And let me know you bought it. Send me a picture. Send me a TCG thing saying you picked it up. And I hope you use my affiliate link. Great card, man. All right, number 3, Deranged Hermit. 39 sales this week. Market price is only $32.86. You can find this card for $18 on TCG Player. $18. Guys, crazy town. to think this card has fallen that low. It should not be this cheap. It should probably be at least a $70 card at the current market, but it's not. So way to go. This current market, people don't recognize it as that. Guess what? Sooner or later, they're going to. Take advantage of it. If you don't buy one, I think you might kick yourself for it later. Even if you don't build a squirrel deck now, who doesn't want to have a squirrel deck? Keep that in mind. There's so many cheap cards from Modern Horizons 2 that could augment your squirrel deck and make the Deranged Hermit amazing. Even with that Eternal Wanderer, you could unsummon this guy and keep resummoning it. It's crazy crazy stuff. Now, number 2, Didgeridoo. That's what we talked about this card, and I'm glad people listened and took advantage, because 57 sales only means $570 to get all these copies bought. This is a buyout. It's hard to believe this, to say it to you guys. We just had a buyout on Didgeridoo from Homelands. Guys, never forget that cards like this may not look like the best at first. It's a 1 generic to put this card on the battlefield. It says, take a Minotaur from your hand and put it directly into play as though it were just summoned. Wow. Guys, think about all the Minotaurs out there. Think about all the crazy town stuff out there. And imagine what will still come 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and tell me if this card is still going to be a $30, $40 card. Right now it's 20 or 30. It's been as high as like a $50 card. Who tells me it won't be 100? I think is like laughing at themselves. Good for you guys who took advantage of that. I think it was the right play. I bought myself a playset just in case because it was only like $33 to get a playset. Crazy. Now, number 1. This is it, guys. This is what you've been waiting for. Oh, I flashed it. I flashed it. Ah, there you go. It's the Atlantic statue from Weatherlight. Now, we talked about this. And I guess a few of you guys took this one to heart as well, because this thing had 112 sales. Look at that. 112 sales last week. This is crazy stuff. Now, the market price is only $1.46. Even all these sales didn't even spike the market because this card is so numerous and so inexpensive. Some copies are 50 cents, which means somebody spent like, $30, $40 to get this many copies in total between all the people buying it. But there's something about all the board wipes nowadays, all the ways of clearing things out, that I really believe some of these artifact guys who can become creatures until end of turn may see a little more play. And this guy actually has trample. Yes, he's 8 to get onto the battlefield, but there are ways of sneaking guys like this on there. There are so many little tricky ways. I mean, just don't forget about it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Spend $2, buy yourself a playset of 4, and I think you'll be pretty happy with that purchase at some point, especially if you're building decks that use cards like this, where you don't want creatures on the battlefield all the time. You only want them when you want them, so you can avoid your own board wipes and stuff, guys. It's kind of a fun card to have around, and it's super inexpensive, okay? And look at the image. Take a close look. There's a little person in front. You see this giant statue. I love that stuff. So this was your Hot 10. The hottest selling cards. We've had some high-powered cards, some medium level, some low-level stuff. Some people would argue most of those were low-level. That's up to you to decide. I don't consider them that way. I think we have a good variety of cards and a lot of players taking advantage of the deals to be had in a bear market like this. We talked about it earlier in the week. This stuff is getting kind of crazy town right now because for a couple of, let's just say $2,000, think about how much you can dent a market like this and then go back to 2020 to 2022 and ask yourself, how far would that $2,000 have gotten me back then? Not nearly as far, would it? Considering even a card like Soldevi Excavations was as high as like $45. Interesting times, guys. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me on the channel. Thanks for being here for a little reserve list Hot 10 where we kind of go, yeah. This is that moment. I know you've waited for it the whole video. Forget about the Hot 10. This is the time to thank the patrons. This is the time to say thank you, guys. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for allowing me to make this content. Patrons rock! You made it till the end. Glad you're here. You're going to put Soldevi Excavations in the comments section because we got something to talk about. Assuming I have a good tax return, assuming things go well, I'm going to do a mini buyout again on Soldevi Excavations. I'm going to put a dent in this market because I feel like it. Sometimes you just got to have fun with life. I will not be doing it yet. I think the market's still going to drop this card a little bit, and it will be a one-day hit. I will hit it all at once. And I'll let you guys know when I'm doing it. If you're on my Patreon, you will have a heads up about this roughly 12 hours before I do it. Give or take a little bit, depending. And I have to make sure I've paid all my other bills. But even if I have $400 or $500 left over from my tax return, even if I get that high, that's still a lot of copies of Soldevi Excavations I'll be buying to add to the collection here on the channel. I want people to be able to share in the fun and at least know it's coming. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Yeah. So heavy.